So I've decided to dabble in Sony again with this A7C Mark II.
After using Fuji for the past year, I've decided to go ahead and pick up another Sony with my A7C Mark II. It's midway through 2025 and the A7 Mark V is going to be right on the doorstep. So in this video, I'm just going to give you guys a general short-term review of the A7C Mark II. I've picked it up with the 2470 G Master Mark II and there's a bunch of stuff to talk about. I was pretty shocked about how many of you guys guessed the Nikon Z6, but nope, it was the A7C Mark II. So for you guys that guessed it right, as promised, I'm going to send you my full preset pack for free. Back to the A7C Mark II though, the reason I picked up this camera is because I wanted to try Sony out again and see kind of how it compares to what I've been using and give me a little taste of maybe what the future has to come. There's so much to get into with this camera, but let's get out of here and go and talk about the autofocus first. Plus we are moving out of this stupidly overpriced studio this month and I don't want to film videos at home, so it's another reason to get out and film more vlog style content for you guys. So I love buying gear and using gear that makes my life easier when I'm trying to make content or trying to achieve some kind of goal. An example of that is, say I want to document life in a much slower pace. My Minolta SRT-201 or my Nikon F100 or any other of my film cameras really help me achieve that goal. But in terms of the A7C II, it's more helping me achieve getting out here in the wilderness and filming more vlog style content with all its features that it has and makes my life easier. Having really amazing autofocus, really great image stabilization. I do like shooting with my Fujis and making, YouTube content with my Fuji cameras, but the autofocus is a little bit of a pain in the ass and there's a few other downsides to it as well. So as I was saying, I've been using the A1 Mark II for a while. Sony sent it over for me just to try it out. And I actually came here to film the gannet colony, but all the birds are gone, so I didn't. But testing that autofocus and then using the autofocus from the A7C II, there's really not much difference between them. The only downside with the focus system in general for me is not having a joystick on the back of the camera. But with the way the real-time tracking works with the Sony cameras, it's not a deal breaker. It's kind of annoying, but for this camera in particular, not being my main workhorse or anything like that, it's fine. Even now with this extremely backlit lighting, I'm in the shade, I've got a hat on, I've got glasses on, this camera is still tracking me by my eyeball with the AI autofocus. It knows where my eye is, I can see on the screen, and it's just, this is not something that my A7 IV would do. It's definitely not something that my Fuji cameras would do. Having all those features in such a compact body is amazing for making content like this. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's tracking my eye through my glasses. How wild is that? I'm going to head out to this little sand dune here. I don't know if you can see that stand out there. I bet you it's going to pick me up and put the box around my face. So yeah, having the ability to film stuff like this and just trust the camera, not have to set it up or manually focus, is a real benefit for me. And yeah, I'm pretty stoked with it. Anyway, this is kind of a weird shot. People looking at me, so we'll go somewhere else. I actually did an engagement shoot here at the beach a few days ago with the A7C Mark II, and I used a Sigma 35mm 1.4, and honestly the photo focus is as good as you're going to get with any modern camera. Anyway, let's carry on and we'll talk about image quality. Take a gamble on this one and see if it autofocuses. This is one of the spots I come to all the time for engagement shoots because we've got the beach just down here and yeah, it's just a cool looking spot. I'm not going to go too much into image quality on the A7C Mark II because it's the same sensor as the A7 IV, so you can pretty much expect more or less the same quality, and that goes for photo and video. As you can see in the photos I'm putting up on the screen now, the images are really sharp, really well focused, great dynamic range. I do find the highlights to be lacking a little bit in terms of how much you can pull them back, but it is still, the same great image quality and color science that you get from the A7 IV. I've always found the low light in the A7 IV a really good balance of like, you know, resolution and high ISO performance. And I find the A7Cii II, I did shoot a couple of frames at a wedding recently, and up to like 12,800 ISO, it's perfectly usable, no issues at all whatsoever. But I know that's personal preference, and some people have a different tolerance level to digital noise. The downsampled 4K out of the A7Cii II with the S-Log2 Cine profile is just amazing. The dynamic range is really good, and I find the shadows to be very clean compared to cameras that I've used recently, and that's a really welcome change for me. And I really like how the 10-bit color grades in post. I'm using my LUTs on all of these videos, and I'll do a before and after so you can see the difference. But yeah, the dynamic range and the colors are amazing out of this camera. The only real downside for me, and it's not a big one, is that, you know, this camera obviously has a 1.5 times crop if you're doing 4K 50 or 60. And, you know, sure, it's a little bit annoying, but it's really not a deal breaker for me, as I'm really very rarely shooting any slow motion footage. Maybe I'll start doing a little bit more here and there, but with this 2470 G Master I'm using, I can't see it being an issue at all. And also the active stabilization is really great. I was really trusting the camera with that autofocus. I just set it up and put subject detection on and just hope for the best, so hopefully it comes out. But as you can see, I've got it on active stabilization now, and walking shots are a breeze with this thing. It does crop the very smallest amount, but I'm at 24mm now with the 24-70 2.8 G Master Mark II. I know most people go for the wider, more vloggy style look, but yeah, I think this looks great. I do love being able to have my LUTs and the monitor as well, so I can see, you know, reasonably well what it's going to look like after I've color graded it. Anyway, I'm going to head back home now, and we'll talk a little bit about the body and some of the downsides of having such a small camera, and then we'll sum up on whether you should buy one of these or not. So let's wrap this thing up by talking about the form factor of the camera, some of the features that are lacking, some of the positives as well that come with a smaller body, and then I'll tell you guys who I recommend this camera for, because it's definitely not for everybody. For me, the smaller size comes in handy, mostly just for when I want to do run and gun stuff, out filming YouTube videos, and I don't want to take my massive backpack. I can just take one of my smaller backpacks, or it fits in the tank bag of my motorcycle pretty easily, where, you know, my X-H2 or Sony A7 IV are just a little bit too big for the size of the tank bag, and it just makes it a little bit more of a pain. But overall, if you think you're going to save a whole bunch of space and weight by buying the A7Cii II over like an A7 IV, I'd probably rethink that decision, because you are saving a little bit of space and weight, but you're still using the same lenses. Full frame lenses are heavy and big, and there's just no way getting around that. The main downsides for me with the A7 II are the smaller viewfinder, the lack of dual memory card slots, and just the lack of overall custom function buttons that you get on the bigger bodied cameras. The viewfinder itself is quite small, but it's not as bad as I expected it to be, which is a nice surprise. I thought it was going to be kind of borderline unusable, but it's actually fine. I do wish it was a lot bigger, but you know, that's just what comes with this camera. And it's, like I said, this isn't going to be my main workhorse that I use every day. Overall, I do find it comfortable enough to use. The grip is still a little bit small for my hands, but you know, adding the small rig plate and the thumb grip on there does make it plenty more usable, and you know, it's fine. If you're buying a smaller camera, you can expect compromises when it comes to ergonomics. So wrapping this up with who this camera is for, I think it's a great B camera or C camera for a working professional. Maybe you have an A7 IV, or you're going to buy one of the A7 Vs when they come out. It'll be fantastic for that. But bearing that in mind, the A7 V is very close to coming out, and it's sure enough going to have all the features the A7Cii II does. With the price difference between the A7Cii II and the A7 IV, especially now with the A7 V coming out and the A7 IV has dropped in price a little bit, it's hard to recommend either one. I think for a professional, I would just be going for the A7 IV. If you're doing a lot more video and you want the custom LUTs being able to be applied to your footage, you want the smaller form factor and the better autofocus, maybe look at the A7Cii II. The A7Cii II's autofocus is a lot better, and if you're not doing professional work, full-time work that you can't repeat, you're getting a more advanced camera in a smaller body It's a little bit cheaper, but you do lack those professional features. My final thought on my way home this morning, I was just thinking about it, and you know, there's really no perfect camera for anybody. There's always a sacrifice, and it's just picking the sacrifices that don't impede with what you want to do. I am really looking forward to seeing the A7 when that comes out. Hopefully I can get my hands on that pretty soon, but we'll see, and I'll see you guys in the next video.